Today we're here to show you all the tools that shapers have. Not all of them, they have a lot bigger range than this, but these are the main ones we use to finish off a pre-shaped board. Here we have the shaper's sanding block, and these are the main tool that we use. They've got a good Velcro attachment on the bottom of their pads, which is awesome. They have a good range of pads. You've got the harder ones through to the softer ones. The soft ones are great for finishing, the hard ones are great for starting. The next one we have is the rail gauges. These are really good for to make sure that both sides of the rails are the same, and then if you have a magic rail, you can lock one in and lock it in at that magic rail and keep using it. In the rail gauges, we have three different types. We have the short board, the fish, and the long board. They're great for all ranges of boards. They're a great little tool as well. The next thing we're going to is the brass stringer plane. These little tools are awesome. They're great for getting up in the nose of a surfboard when you're finishing them off. From the old days of spoke shaves, these are great. The next one we have here is the David combi plane. You don't have to sharpen them, which makes things a lot easier as well, because when you have to sharpen your tools, you usually need a professional to do it, and these have got a little razor blade that you can put in, so as soon as it gets blunt, you can change it straight away. And the next one we have is a layout square. These are really good to make sure that your outline's even on both sides, and even to set up fins as well, so they're a great little tool. Here we have the shaper's calipers. These things are great too, because when you finish shaping your board, you can double check your thickness to make sure you haven't taken too much off. And they're quite easy to use. They're in millimetres and inches, so you can slide it on, push them down, come off and check it out, millimetres and then in inches. Great. Now I've shown you all the tools, now I'm going to show you how to use them. So I've marked the outline out with a template, so now I'm going to bring it down with the hard pad to a clean line. So here we go. Great for the stringers as well. As you can see, the 36 grit eats the foam very easily. So now I'm going to get the lines out of the pre-shape with a 36 grit and a softer pad, not a hard pad, as it allows to fit into the concaves and the V. With a hard pad, you're going to have issues of it scraping the concave and the V's out. So while I'm rubbing out the lines, I'm using clean, long strokes so it doesn't change the rocker profile. Now this is where these medium pads come in handy, is when you're doing with the deck roll, it allows it to fit in and do the whole board in one clean sweep. So now I've taken out all the lines from the pre-shape machine, we're ready to start doing the rails. The medium block or hard block are both good to do the rails, so it doesn't matter which one you use. All shapers are different, everyone creates their own style over time, but I'm happy to use both. We're not trying to get it perfect at the moment, so we can finish this off later when we're fine-tuning the board. So now we've done that, we can jump onto a lower grade gauze and get the deeper scratches out. Still using a medium pad. The medium pad is quite good for most of the stages of shaping. This one also has a lesser grade gauze, and it's a different type of gauze as well. It's not as heavy duty sandpaper, it's more of a finer one, and it's only a 60 grit. Here's a spot where the medium pads are really great because they can fit around the rail nice and tight, and they'll keep the flow of the rail nice and clean. So that's looking pretty good now. So what we'll do is we'll grab the rail gauge, and this is where they come in handy, is checking out to see if the rails are both the same on each side. Looking pretty good, so that's a good double check to use. So now we've started shaping the board, I'm just going to double check with the calipers. 2 3/4, perfect. So now we're going down to a softer pad, and the softer pad actually doesn't change too much of the shape. What we're really doing is just cleaning it up and fine tuning it and getting the scratches out. And as you can see, these fit into the board really nice. Alright, now we've got most of the scratches out. As the wood is harder than the foam, it's standing a little bit higher, so now I'm going to use a plane to lower it and keep it nice and clean on the stringer. This one comes really in handy. In the old days we had the spoke shaves and it made it pretty hard to get in there, but this one works a treat. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the layout square to mark the fins, which I've already done, and I like to do this before I finish the rails off, so I have a reference point of where to finish and start the hard edge. So we're ready to go on the rails now. So now we're ready to finish off the rails, and I use quite a range of gauze, and I even use a little bit of sanding paper to start with. The good thing about gauze is it's so flexible, it wraps around the rails very, very easy. So it's a great tool to finish off your rails. And as you can see, the reason I marked out the fins is so now I know where to stop and start that hard edge. As you can see, I've used a heavier grit gauze, and it's taken out all the lines and scratches as well. So now I can run down to a lower grade. One thing I do before I jump into the final gauze to finish off the rails is I get a very, very soft pad, and this actually fits around the board really, really nice, as you can see. And I just get a few more scratches out, and it just helps me to get a nice clean rail line along the deck with the flow. On this pad, I have a very, very, very fine grade too. Now I'm using the finest grade of gauze, and this is a finishing process. So after this, the board's nice and fine tuned. And there we have it, one finished shape. So there you go, shapers have the best range of tools to make shaping easy.